Hey there, welcome to The Explainer. Let's just jump right in today, because we're looking at something that is absolutely fascinating, but honestly, completely exhausting. You definitely know the person I'm talking about. The one who's just crushing it at work. Their resume is flawless, they never miss a birthday, and they always look completely put together. But what if, right beneath that super polished surface, they're quietly crumbling? Today we're exploring the hidden iceberg of high-functioning anxiety. It's a situation where success is, well, literally just a mask for a relentless internal storm. Let's get into it.
Look at this quote. "I don't get stage fright, I get life fright." Comedian and presenter Jordan Raskopoulos dropped this gem in a phenomenal TEDx talk, and man, it hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sets the tone for us today, highlighting this mind-bending contrast between public confidence and private terror. I mean, she can stand in front of 4,000 people, deliver a flawless, hilarious performance without breaking a sweat, but the mere thought of making a simple phone call to a plumber, absolute paralyzing terror.
And here's the kicker. This is not just an isolated experience, not even close. Right now, roughly 40 million adults are grappling with anxiety. It's a massive, totally invisible epidemic. But here's the really tricky part. Because high-functioning anxiety looks so much like textbook success, the people suffering from it usually go completely unnoticed by society. When someone tells you they're totally fine, all while juggling 10 massive projects with a huge smile plastered on their face, they actually might be the ones who need your help the most.
So, moving into Section 1, is it a real diagnosis? The clinical breakdown.
We really have to ask, is this exhausting cycle of extreme overachievement and constant dread an actual documented medical condition? Or is it just, a classic type A personality trait? Well, clinical psychologist Dr. Claire Plumley breaks the science down like this. On one side, we have generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. Now, that is a strictly defined medical diagnosis. It's marked by high impairment, meaning the excessive worry and the physical symptoms literally stop you in your tracks. They prevent you from functioning. But then we have high-functioning anxiety. And actually, this isn't an official clinical diagnosis. Instead, it's a descriptive term used for people who share those exact same debilitating symptoms of GAD. But, and this is a big but, they maintain a highly engaged level of functioning. They carry on despite the internal chaos.
So, how? How do they keep moving? Why don't they just shut down? Well, it all boils down to the fight and appease response. Most of us have heard of flight or freeze, where people just withdraw entirely. But high-functioning anxiety, it's largely driven by this other, super powerful coping mechanism. Instead of freezing, the anxiety actually acts like an engine. It propels the person into strict routines, relentless overachieving, and intense people-pleasing. And why do they do it? Basically, to avoid ever feeling vulnerable, criticized, or out of control. It's a trauma response that brilliantly, but oh my gosh, exhaustingly, keeps sufferers moving forward perfectly in the eyes of everyone else.
Which brings us to Section 2, the perfectionist prison, the outer shell.
What you see on the outside are really just external illusions. They look like incredibly positive traits, but actually, they're desperate attempts to keep a tight grip on that internal chaos. Take the perfectionist standard, for example. This is not just taking a little pride in your work. No, this is spending 2 full hours rewriting a 5-minute email until every single comma feels justified, all because your brain is screaming that anything less equals total failure. Or consider the chameleon. That's when you adjust your entire personality to fit whatever the room needs, constantly sacrificing your own needs just to dodge any hint of conflict. And that cynical, witty humor? Yep. That's a defense mechanism. It forces you to entertain people, masking all your panicked and tense feelings behind quick, biting jokes.
And of course, there's the productivity addiction, which really boils down to this. Your to-do list literally has its own to-do list. I love how perfectly that captures the reality of it. The dark irony here is that success has literally become your mask. You end up filling every single waking moment with tasks, goals, and projects simply because empty time feels dangerous. If you sit still for even a second, the worry creeps right back in. Resting feels like laziness, relaxing triggers massive guilt. To your boss, you look incredibly effective, but underneath, you are running on absolute fumes.
Let's dive deeper in Section 3, the silent internal storm, underwater reality.
Just listen to this incredibly visceral description from a writer on the mental health platform The Mighty. They said high-functioning anxiety feels like a snake slithering up their back, clamping its jaws shut. Wow. That powerfully validates that the physical symptoms are very, very real. Anxiety does not just live in your head. Your body keeps the score. We're talking about a churning stomach that somehow confuses a simple unanswered text message with, being attacked by a lion. We're talking about carrying massive tension in your shoulders and a jaw that just aches from clenching your teeth all day without even realizing you were doing it.
And then there's what is happening inside the mind. The internal reality is literally like having 47 browser tabs open in your brain all at once, and 3 of them are blasting music you can't even identify. Your brain is essentially acting like a hyper-vigilant survival expert, constantly mapping out disaster scenarios that have maybe a 0.01% chance of actually happening. And the craziest paradox? You can flawlessly execute a $1 million business decision, but you suffer agonizing, paralyzing indecision trying to pick a restaurant for dinner? It's wild. You're dealing with relentless imposter syndrome, totally convinced everyone is about to expose you as a fraud. And those Sunday scaries? For high-functioning folks, they are so severe they actually start on Friday morning, completely stealing away the joy of the present moment.
Moving on to Section 4, the Shy Loud Experience, a lived paradox.
Let's look back at Jordan Raskopoulos and break down her utterly agonizing process of just trying to attend a basic social event. Because her brain is already maxed out from processing daily worry, the high stimulation of a party is just entirely overwhelming. So let's walk through it. Step 1, she arrives early. Step 2, noticing nobody is there yet, she paces outside and then literally walks around the block because she's terrified people are judging her for pacing. Step 3, she finally goes inside, doesn't immediately see anyone she knows, so she hides in the bathroom for 25 minutes. Step 4, she finally exits the bathroom, instantly assumes the line of people waiting is judging her bowel movements, and completely freezes in panic. This is a brilliant, high-achieving person completely paralyzed by a simple party.
The disconnect here is such a beautiful but honestly heartbreaking paradox. From the outside, because Jordan avoids eye contact, ducks out of conversations early, or ignores emails when she's overwhelmed, her colleagues just assume she's arrogant, or aloof, or maybe even lazy. But the internal reality, it is drastically different. She isn't rude at all, she's profoundly shy. She isn't aloof, she actually cares so deeply about other people's feelings that she's stunned into silence out of fear of saying the wrong thing. And she certainly isn't lazy, she's just paralyzed by the massive amount of mental energy her constant worry consumes.
But she did find a truly brilliant way to cope. Enter Judge Booty. Yep, that is her roller derby name. It's a hilarious detail, sure, but the psychology underneath it is absolutely vital. Jordan realized that because her anxiety spikes when she's idle, she desperately needs high-focus hobbies. By engaging her brain in incredibly complex, physically demanding activities, like trying to stay upright on roller skates while actively avoiding getting smashed by other players, it forces her brain to focus on just one single thing. And that singular focus successfully quiets that massive internal storm.
All right, let's look at Section 5, Breaking the Exhausting Cycle, Strategies for the Surface.
So, how do we handle this? Here are 4 specific, highly practical steps anyone can start taking today. Step 1, control your environment. Jordan literally uses different desks in her apartment for different tasks, writing at one, painting at another. It physically helps compartmentalize her brain's processing. Pretty smart, right? Step 2, engage in high-focus hobbies. Just like we saw with the roller derby, find something that forces single-task focus. Step 3, find allies. Do not go to overwhelming social events alone. Bring friends who know your tells, friends who can introduce themselves to shoulder the conversational load, or even help you evacuate if you freeze up. And finally, Step 4, seek therapy. Specifically, things like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which can give you the tools to neutrally analyze your own behavior when you're in a moment of crises.
But the absolute most crucial takeaway from this whole explainer is this powerful reality. Seeking help isn't giving up. It is growing up. If you're recognizing yourself in anything we've talked about today, you really need to offer yourself a massive reframe on your self-worth. Admitting you have these symptoms doesn't make you weak, it just makes you human. You have to remember that you matter simply because you exist. Period. Not just because of what you relentlessly accomplish, and not just because of how flawlessly you execute your daily routine.
So as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative question to challenge that deep-seated productivity addiction. Ask yourself, what if the absolute most productive thing you can do today is nothing at all? Just let that sink in for a second. The world absolutely needs your talents, no doubt about it, but it also really needs you to be okay. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope it helped you understand this hidden iceberg a bit better. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.